on. Now let us see loops in Python. In general, the statements are executed sequentially. That is, the first statement in a function is executed first, followed by the second and then the third statement, and so on. But there may be a situation when you need to execute a block of code several number of times. For this, programming language provides some structures, and those structures are called loop statements. Loop statements allows us to execute a statement or a group of statements multiple times. Here is a flowchart showing how a loop statement works. Here the condition is checked. If the condition is true, the conditional code or the code inside the loop will be executed. Once the code is executed, it will again check for condition. The condition is true, the code will be executed, and so on. If the condition is false, the statement inside the block of code or inside the loop will not be executed further. For loop statement, it has the ability to iterate over items of any sequence like list or a string. Syntax is like this: for iterating variable in sequence, then the for loop statements. We are to add the statements in the for loop block with indentation. If a sequence contains an expression list, it is evaluated first. Then the first item in the sequence is assigned to iterating variable. Here the iterating variable used is iterating underscore var. Next, the statement block is executed. Each item in the list is assigned to this iterating variable, and the statement block is executed until the entire sequence is exhausted. See, here item from the sequence is checked. If there is an item, that item will be assigned to iterating variable, and the for loop block or the executing statements will be executed. Then it will again check if there are more items in the sequence. If there are more items in the sequence, again the next item will be assigned to this iterating variable and the block code will be executed. And this process is repeated until there are no more items in the sequence. That is how a Python for loop statement. See few examples. The first example. Here, we have declared a list named fruits where few fruit names are stored: apple, orange, grapes, pear. Then for I in fruits, print I. See the output. Here, I is an iterating variable in the list fruit. I is initially assigned the name of first content, apple. So print I will display the content, apple. Then the loop continues with the next element, orange. Since there are more elements, I is assigned the value orange and it is displayed. Again, there are elements in the list. So I is assigned the value grapes and it is displayed. Again, more elements are there in the list. So I is assigned the value pear and it is displayed. Now I will show you if it was a set. We know set is an unordered pair. Same example I had done with set and see how the output comes. We can't predict the order of elements in set. So we can't predict the order of occurrence of elements stored by set. And if for this situation or in that moment the elements were stored like this in my system and I got output as this. We'll see some other example. Here vowels is assigned a string value AAIOU. I am displaying these vowels again using for loop. For char and vowels, here the iterating variable uses char and the string is used as sequence. Print char comma. I have added a parameter int equal to double quotes. That means in double quotes some free space or white space. Here see, after each and every character, what is displayed? A blank space or white space is displayed. Another method of using for loop in Python. Example continued. Now the common example, sum of few elements in a list. Here I have declared a number list which contains 1, 2, 3, 4 and sum is initialized to 0. And with iterating variable I, iterating each and every elements of num. And what I'm finding? Sum of elements. Initially sum will be sum plus 1, then sum plus 2, sum plus 3, sum plus 4, sum plus 5. And outside the loop I'm printing sum of these 5 elements in the list, which is 15. This is another example demonstrating the use of for loop in Python. Now we can see how when we apply range function to for loop work. We can use range function in for loop to iterate through a sequence of numbers. It can be compared with a len function to iterate through a sequence using indexing. Here's an example of using range function together with the len function. See our previous example, we are using a list fruit with values apple, orange, grapes, pear. For I, in range of len of fruits, print fruits of y. We are using the same technique we have used in C language. That is, we are printing the contents of this fruits using an index location. See the output. So here fruits of I means fruits of 0, that is the content is apple. Then fruits of 1, fruits of 2, fruits of 3. How much will this I or this for loop iterate? Until the end of list. We can generate sequence using range function. Print num in range of 10, print num. Will display the elements in range 0 till 10. 10 will be excluded. So the elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9 are displayed. Here also the num is iterating variable and this variable is iterating in the number sequence in the range 0 to 10. 10 is excluded and whatever values are assigned to this iterating variable are printed in the next statement. Range can be again used with 3 parameters. We can specify a start range, a stop range and step size. Step size is by default 1. We can increase step size to 2, 3, 4 and again we can use negative step. In this example I am showing an example of using negative step where the start range is 20 and the stop range is 1. The stop range will be always excluded and step size is -2. The first element to be displayed will be 20. 20 minus 2, 18. 18 minus 2, 16. 16 minus 2, 14 and it goes so on. And at last you will display 2. 2 minus 2 is 0 which is below the stop range. So the execution automatically stops. Next is using else statement with loops. Python supports to have an else statement associated with a loop. We can use it either with for loop or with a while loop. Here we can see how it is used with for loop. If the else statement is used with a for loop, the else statement is executed when the loop has exhausted iterating the list. Normally once the loop exhausted the list, the statements outside the body of the loop will be executed. If there is an else statement, the part inside the else statement or block of code inside the else statement will be executed once the loop gets exhausted or once the loop's iteration is over. This is an example, a common program of linear searching or perform searching an item in a list. Here I have declared a list and I have asked user to enter an item to be searched in the second statement. And again here I am using an iterating variable item which will be iterated to the entire list. For that, in order to use iteration indexing mechanism, I am using range len methods here. And for each and every item, we are checking if the item in the list is the item to be searched. That is, if list of item is equal to number to be searched, what we do? We can print item is found at the location item plus 1. Why I am using here item plus 1? The first item will be in the index location 0. Second item will be in the index location 1. So the location of item will be always index location plus 1. If the search is successful, nothing we have to do. We can exit from the loop. Otherwise, if the entire list is iterated and if the item is not there in this list, what we have to do? We have to do some negative or display some negative message, or we have to display some message item is not found. In that case, I have used else part here. So, if this loop has exhausted or if every items in this list has been iterated and in none cases this condition turns true, which block is executed? The else part will be executed. That is, message will be displayed, item not found in the list. This is how an else part can be attached to for loop. See the output. In the first case, already the list has an item 10 and have entered the item 10 as to be searched. And we know the location of that item is the first location. So item is found at location 1. In the second case, we are searching for an item 7 which is not in the list. So how it work? First item in the list. Item is assigned the value what? List of item, that is list of 0 is 10. 10 is not equal to 7. So again the loop will continue. There is more item in the list and we are taking its index location. So list of 1 which is again not equal to 7. Next list of 2 which is not equal to 7. List of 3 which is not equal to 7. List of 4 which is not equal to 7. List of 5 which is not equal to 7. So for the entire list, this if loop or if statement always turn false and this block won't be executed. And now we have encountered the end of list. So for loop's execution needs to be stopped. But since there is an else part, which part will be executed? The else part will be executed and we will get message item not found in the list. This is how an else statement attached to a for statement gets executed. Now Python while loop statement. A while loop statement in Python programming language repeatedly executes a set of statement or target statement as long as the given condition is true. Same as we have seen in C, C++ language. Syntax is while a test expression statements. Here, the statements can be either a single statement or block of statements as in C, C++. The condition can be any test expression and true is always a non-zero value. The loop iterates while the condition is true. When the condition becomes false, the program control passes to the line immediately following the while loop. Here is a flowchart showing that. Here initially condition is checked. If the condition is true, the while block will be executed. Again the condition will be checked. If the condition is true, the block code will be executed. And this process repeats until the condition becomes false. Once the condition becomes false, the statement outside the loop will be executed. Here, counters initialize values 0 while counters less than 9. So, while counters less than 9 will print the value of count. Okay. And each time after printing the value of count, we are incrementing value of count to count plus 1. Once the loop is finished, the next statement we have added in this program is a goodbye statement. So, we can see count is 0, count is less than 9. So, 0 will be print. Again, count is incremented by 1. So, count is equal to 0 plus 1. 1 is less than 9. So, again the loop will be executed. Since the loop is executed, we will again print the value of count, which is 1 now. Now, count is incremented to 2. 2 less than 9 condition is true. So, again the loop is executed. In the loop, the value counters 2 was displayed. Count is now incremented to 3. This process will go on until 8. 8 less than 9. Now the counters 8, it will be displayed. Now the value of count turns to, this time the value of count turns to 9. When next time the while statement checks for condition 9 less than 9, the condition becomes false. So this block of code will not be executed. The statement outside the block will be executed, which is a print message, and that is a goodbye statement. Again, we can see how the while loop works with our else part. If an else statement is used with while loop, what happened? The else statement is executed when the condition becomes false. Here is an example. The previous example, but once here, once execution is over, I have displayed a message what exit while. So here count is initially value 1. When count is less than or equal to 3, the value of count will be displayed. And count is incremented to 2. 2 less than or equal to 3, condition is true. The count is displayed. Count is again incremented to 3. 3 less than or equal to 3, the value of count is displayed. Count is incremented to 4. 4 is not less than or equal to 3. The condition becomes false. Now this else part will be executed, that is print exit while. After this, what all statements are coming next will be executed here. So there is one more statement, end of program, that will be executed. So this else part or else statement can be attached with two loops, for loop and while loop in Python. Now comes the nested loops. What is nested loop? Loop inside another loop is called nested loop. So for loop, nested loop can be like this. There will be an iterating variable in outer loop. There may be or may not be statements between the inner loop, and again in inner loop we need what? Another iterating variable for second list, and inside that also we can do something. So there will be two loops, outer loop and inner loop. We have to check for this indentation space. The statements inside the first loop and the inside loop should begin at the same indentation space, that is to be considered. Here we see an example of using nested for loop. For this I have declared two lists. It means num list and alpha list. Num list is assigned three numeric values, alpha list with A, B, Z. For number in num list, there is values in this num list. So number variable is assigned the value 1, which is a first item's value. And inside the loop, it is displayed. Then comes execution of inner loop. For letter in alpha list, letter is assigned the value of first item A and it is displayed. Then the inner loop again will continue execution until its sequence list is complete. So we'll get output as here. Initially 1 is displayed, then the contents of alpha list A, B, Z is displayed, since the inner loop is executing until its all elements are iterated once. Once all the elements in the inner loop are executed, or all the elements in the list are executed, the execution or control go back to outer for loop, where number is again assigned the content 2 and the number 2 is displayed. Now the inner loop again begins its execution with the first element in the alpha list and the three alphabets A, B, C are displayed. Again the outer loop execute where the number 3 is displayed, and then the inner loop gets executed where the three alphabets A, B, Z are displayed. Now there are no more elements in the outer loop, so its execution stopped. That's how we got this output. Now nested while loop work. The syntax is as shown here. There will be an outer while loop with a test condition and inner while loop with a test condition and statements. If the outer while loop test expression turns true, control goes to inner while loop, and this inner loop's execution will iterate as long as this test condition turns false. That is how nested while program to generate the prime numbers from 2 to 100. Here we have used nested while loops. The output of this program is the all prime numbers between 2 to 100. It will begin at 2 and check until it reaches 100. The number 100 will be excluded. So here we have two loops, an outer while loop and inner while loop. I will just say the purpose of outer while loop and inner while loop. Inner while loop is just to check if a particular number is prime or not, beginning from 2. If it is prime, it will display that particular number is prime. That is 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 5 is prime, etc. And the outer for loop is used to iterate from 2 to 100. So the purpose of outer while loop is to iterate between 2 and 100. And the purpose of inner while loop here is to check if a particular number is prime or not. Thank you for now.